Could you introduce yourself? Say a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
And,
Mike McCune, I'm a computer consultant. I deal with pretty much a little bit of everything. I deal a lot with setting up web and file servers. I use Linux or Windows, whichever the customer wants.
So you've heard about the citywide plan, the plan for a citywide wireless.
Yes.
How did you hear about that?
I've been to a few of their meetings.
How did you hear about it?
How did I hear about it? I think it was you posting on the list.
Okay. Well, where do you generally get your news?
For local?
Anything.
Oh, anything?
Whatever news you pay attention to.
Pretty much the news groups I subscribe to. People who post in news groups. I do look at some of the news sites like Slashdot and some of the groups like on Yahoo and news groups, Google News, stuff like that.
Could you describe the internet?
Describe the internet. Internet's just a worldwide communication system. It's just a way of passing information, and what information you put on there and how you do it is up to pretty much the end users.
Are there ways that you're making use of the internet and technology that you think most people aren't even aware of, or aware is possible, some possibly unique or interesting things?
Unique or interesting, depends on who you're talking to. I mean,
for average person.
My primary phone at home is voice over IP. It's essentially like a phone, except it goes over the internet instead of standard phone lines. I was probably one of the first people to get into what they call podcasting now. I was downloading, even before MP3s were popular, I was downloading real player files of stuff people created on the internet. And I was playing on my home computer. I was doing that back in the mid-90s.
How is your use of technology different from other people in your family or extended family? Is it different?
Well, my parents just recently got a computer. I set it up for them. They bought an old computer with had Windows 90. They originally had 95 on it, and that quit working after a while. It just got so infested with spyware that I had to reformat. I put 2000 on it. Same thing happened on that. So last time I went home last year, I put Ubuntu on it, and they haven't had any problems with it since. And they're more limited to use of technology. They only really use three things. They use email. They browse the web. Mainly they go to the Weather Channel site to look up the local weather, and then they have instant messenger. She has a friend that uses Yahoo Instant Messenger, and she sends her messages with that. That's really the only three things they use a computer for. But I use it for quite a bit of things. I just moved. I don't have cable yet, so I'm like downloading TV shows on my laptop and watching them. Because there are a couple TV shows I watch, so I've been finding them on like BitTorrent or websites and downloading them.
So how is it technology integrated in your daily life? Is it?
No, I pretty much use email for everything. I mean, I'll send someone an email before I call them. Simply because when you call them, you're going to bother them. They have to stop, pick up the phone, talk to you. With email, they can, unless it's something really urgent, they can just read it at their leisure when they have some free time, and you're not really bothering them like you would be if you call them on the phone. And I also, since I set up servers for a living, I'm using my computer or laptop quite a bit because I have to set them up. Then once it's set up, I usually log in remotely to manage them. So pretty much my job depends on computers and the internet.
How could the media do a better job? Do you have any opinions on for anything? However you want to answer it.
Local media? Local media has terrible local coverage. I was talking to someone at Indie Media a few months ago, and they did a survey, and they found of the news. They basically just watched the news shows, and they counted how much was fluff and how much was real news, and over 80% of it was what they considered fluff, which is like features, car crashes, building burns, stuff that's sensational, but really is not going to affect anybody in any meaningful way. And they found that PBS actually had the best coverage, even though they had the most entertainment news. They actually had the most real news also. They need to do a better job covering local news. And as far as the tech scene, nobody. They were filming here.
Sorry, we'll leave that in a second.
Okay. And as far as the tech scene, I mean, nobody covers the local tech scene. If you go to like a tech event, nobody's there. Well, except Rod May, of course. I mean, even though a lot of people hate Rod May, at least he covers the tech scene.
Well, I think he'll be psyched to hear that you mentioned his name. This,
yeah, he loves hearing his name in the press.
So, what do you think of the local tech culture? Today we're at the Hacktivism meetup thing, or gathering.
What I think
Could you describe the Chicago tech culture?
It's very fragmented. I mean, I go to a lot of different groups for different stuff, and you rarely see the same people at the same events. It's even with some like Linux user groups, there's about 5 of them locally, and you rarely see people go from one to the other. So it's very fragmented. The local tech scene is very fragmented into like niches, and you don't see a lot of crossover. Hopefully they have more events where they can promote more crossover between local tech groups.
So you were one of the founders with NPO Techs and active with Free Geek Chicago.
W Club too.
Yeah. So you've been committed to this for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm. I've been working in the tech field since late '80s. In fact, I was one of the early people on the internet. I got an internet account in '84 just because I was in college. Back then it was FTP, Telnet, and they had news groups. That was pretty much it. There was no World Wide Web or anything. And I'd read news groups. There's only a few hundred at that time.
So
send email, of course.
The city, as you know, the city's planning this Wi-Fi thing. Do you see what do you see as the economic development opportunities in the deployment of such a network?
For the end users or for people?
For the communities.
Oh, for the communities.
Yeah.
I think they should break the city up into small zones and give it to community groups to do, because that way you keep the money in the community, and also it's going to help on businesses, because most businesses they depend on email and the internet, and rather than paying a large company like AT&T and Comcast where the profits are going to go out of state. With a local company, the profits will stay here and help develop the city rather than fill some bank account either overseas or out of state.
Thank you very much.
Okay, probably what you wanted to hear, right?
No.